on earth am I doing here? It's cold, it's damp. Oh, and there's a smell of a dreadful stench of something rotting in the air. It's probably the drains. Frankly, I think I would have been better off in the family crypt. Oh well, they say you don't appreciate what you've got until it has gone. You know, there was a time when I wouldn't have been seen dead in a place like this. Oh, I know you don't think it to look at me, but I have noble blood flowing through these veins, and some of it's my own. I was once a woman of position, a countess no less, with servants at my beck and call, noblemen prostrating themselves before me for love, and peasants cowering at my feet in fear. Oh, those were the good times. Of course, my husband, the Count, put an end to all that, the idiot. He ruined everything because he wanted to make a name for himself. A name for himself. Ha! He was Count Dracula of Transylvania. Wasn't that enough? Oh, no. He had to declare himself Lord of the Undead. He just could not comprehend the importance of discretion when it comes to people like us. Throughout centuries, the great and the good have had their little foibles, shall we say, guilty pleasures that others might take exception to, but when done in moderation, do nobody any real or lasting harm. Well, nobody important, that is. Take my family. We had been drinking the peasants in secret for centuries without any problems. The key was not to drain them completely, otherwise they died, and the villagers tended to become unreasonable. No, just a pint or so while they were asleep in their beds or frightened out of their wits in the forest, and everyone was happy. Well, the peasants feared us, but that was only natural. It was just the natural order of things. Occasionally, a nobleman would come by while searching for a new bride. And such a visit would generally make a very pleasant change from peasant. But should he find favour with one of our little number, we would induct him into our little club. And then sent him back to his principality with his new bride. And so it was with my dear husband. Oh, he was charming and handsome. And for a moment I thought I had found a kindred spirit. Sadly, on our return to his native land, it soon became apparent that apart from being handsome and charming, he was also a raging egomaniac with a roving eye and a gargantuan inferiority complex. No sooner had we returned to the dilapidated hovel that passed for his castle that he commenced his reign of terror, slaughtering the peasants, turning people with absolutely no social standing into vampires, without any regard to the principles of supply and demand. I decided that discretion was the better part of valour and returned home to my family, confident that he would soon meet his end at the hand of rampaging villagers and be consigned to the obscurity of myth as all those of his mettle had in the past. I had not reckoned with the intervention of that imbecilic hack Bram Stoker. No sooner had his publications come out about the exaggerated and frankly libelous reports of my husband's activities than the countryside of Eastern Europe was awash with would-be Van Helsings, searching for somebody to stick a sharpened piece of wood into, without any thought of whether they deserved it or not. Would you care to know what it feels like to have a stake thrust into your body by someone as ignorant of your anatomy as they are of your true worth? It hurts! A lot. And when they miss the heart, as such morons always do, it continues to hurt for a very long time. Contrary to that idiotic Irishman's assertions, our wounds do not heal in seconds. Neither are we transformed into bats, or dogs, or fog, and we do not sleep in coffins, and neither are we partial to bug-eating servants. We are simply higher up the food chain than Homo sapiens, like polar bears. And nobody goes around waving crosses in their faces, spraying them with holy water and feeding them garlic. Well, not if they desire to see another dawn. Thanks to the illiterate drivel of that damned Irishman, we were hounded from our ancestral homes, and those who chose to stand and fight found themselves overwhelmed by the numbers, if not the intelligence, of their opponents. The rest was scattered to the four winds. I finally made landfall here in the Americas, but the damage Stoker did was merely the beginning. Others decided to take his ridiculous ramblings and embellish upon them, not only in the printed word, but also in motion pictures, and worst of all, on television. Anne Rice, Stephanie Meyer, Joss Whedon, now there's an unholy trinity for you. Thanks to their Lestats and their Bellas and their Buffys, the vampire, once the stuff of nightmares, was now the erotic fantasy of acne-ridden and drooling adolescents. I barely step out of the hotel when I am confronted by hordes of young men and women wearing Team Edward t-shirts, begging me to bite them, to turn them, to grant them eternal youth. A forest of jugular veins spread out before me, filled with blood. The tastes of pizza and burgers and pickled gherkins. I do not, of course, turn them. Unlike my late husband, I am more discriminating in these matters. I have no desire to spend eternity with such creatures. I can barely stand to spend 5 minutes with them. However, beggars cannot be choosers, so I take what I need. Just a pint or so from a select few, and by the time they realise that sunlight will not cause them to spontaneously combust, I've moved to another location. I lie to myself. I say that it is no different from the good old days, but it is. I used to thrill to the hunt, the cornering of my prey, and the almost primal satisfaction as their blood flowed down my throat like fine old wine. Nowadays there is no hunt, there is no prey, just convenience food. Oh well, time to go and meet and eat my public. Do you know it takes all the fun out of going out for a meal when the entree actually wants to be eaten?